Hey guys, welcome to this video. We're going to answer a question from Vicky who asked, it's a very frustrating and unfortunately common situation. And the question Vicky asked is, what happens if a debt collector sells the debt to another collection company? And so this is where, let's say you start off with the original creditor, it's AT&T. And then it goes to this debt collector and you deal with them and they go, okay, we're done. And either they sell it to another one or it goes back to AT&T, who then sends it to a second debt collector. And then they back off, and then it goes to a third and a fourth and a fifth. And it can kind of feel like, if you've ever had the misfortune of being in Chuck E. Cheese with the whack-a-mole game, it's like you whack the mole and then he pops up somewhere else. So what do you do in this situation? Well, there's a couple things. You have to take each collector individually. So they contact you. The question that you always start with is, do I owe this debt? Because if you do not owe the debt, then that debt collector, by communicating with you and sending a letter saying that you do owe the debt, or by calling you, or by credit reporting, has violated the FDCPA, Fair Debt Collection Practices Act. Now, they may have what's called a bona fide error defense, but that's hard for them to prove. Okay, so just the first step is, if I do not owe the debt, then boom, I am at least seriously considering suing that debt collector because they're attempting to collect a debt I do not owe. It violates all different parts of the FDCPA. Now, what if you're like, well, maybe I owe it. So you send a dispute letter, a validation letter, a request for verification. People get hung up on the terminology. It's all the same thing, where you reach out to that debt collector, preferably within the 30-day window of when you receive the letter from the debt collector. And you say, hey, I want you to go see and get some proof that I really owe this debt. I really owe the amount. I really owe it to you. And we talk about this in other videos, sort of how to set up this letter. Now, a lot of times they get that letter, and if it's within that 30 days, they have three choices. Number one, they can do nothing, just not respond to you at all, but they can't collect. Or number two, they can respond to you, whether that's in 30 days or 60 days or 3 years, doesn't matter. They just can't do any collection until they respond to you. And then they can validate or verify the debt. Okay. And then the third option is they can get rid of it and transfer it to somebody else. And I think that's what Vicky's talking about here. So again, that's sort of the whack-a-mole. Well, now a new collector has it. So you do the same thing. And what you're looking for, in my view, is one of these debt collectors breaks the law. So again, they're collecting on a debt you do not owe, because then you can sue them. It's sort of like you can wrap your hands around that debt collector and that debt and make sure that the debt is killed, that it dies, it never comes back again. Because otherwise it literally can be, every other month you're getting a new collection letter, new collection phone calls from a different debt collector, and you got to go through this process all over. So I always say, try and find a violation and go back to the original creditor and make sure you've notified them if you truly don't owe the debt, and ask them if they ever transfer the debt, assign it, sell it, whatever, to a new collector, that they put your letter with it. And again, that can be helpful when you end up suing a collector and they go, oh, well, we thought this was totally legitimate. We go, no, I'm sure AT&T forwarded you my letter. If they did, the debt collector is up the creek. If AT&T did not, then you may have a claim against AT&T for doing that. So hope that that's helpful, Vicky. Thanks for the great question, and I'll talk to you guys later. All right, bye-bye.